Hi everybody, Robin here at Toadstool Tarot. I'm not going to say too much about this deck. I'm going to leave a link and you can do your own research and make up your own ideas about it. I will say that it's been a little bit of a crazy summer for me. I haven't bought many decks in a long time, and nearing the end of the summer and going into fall, it's sort of back to school time and around my birthday, and I decided to sort of treat myself to a couple of decks that I saw that are different than what I've been seeing online. And I've been finding actually that I'm only about, of the decks I see, about 80% of them just don't have any appeal for me. I've grown kind of weary of both pastel colorings, pastel palettes, and also decks with, enormous card sizes and weird card stock and illustrative, sort of graphic art style illustration. And I've been looking for something with a more colorful palette, something more intense and bright and exciting, and also a little bit less literal, a little less referential. Most decks illustrate pretty closely to the RWS. You can look at the card and pretty much read it right away without thinking about it too much. And I think that tends to make people sort of skip through a reading very quickly. I find myself that when I use a deck like that, or even the RWS, I'll lay out a 3-card spread, and basically I give it 30 seconds or a minute or two, and I will have done the reading. There's not a lot to linger over or contemplate. Now, if I'm reading for other people, there might be an advantage to that. If I'm reading for myself, I tend to want to meditate more on the imagery, and the more abstract it is, the more I tend to sort of linger on it and try to find things in there that aren't so obvious, that aren't on the surface. So anyway, this is one of those decks, and I wouldn't recommend this for a beginner, because I think beginners do need that sort of crutch of assistance in terms of figuring out the meaning. But as long as you know the system and the cards are legibly labeled, you can read with pretty much any deck. And I think that the more abstract it is, the more you sort of relax into a contemplative mode in terms of trying to suss out some things. Now, some of these images could be a little bit more referential than they are. They may be a little too abstract, but generally speaking, I appreciate that. This particular deck, I ordered one recently that I've reviewed, and I got it on Etsy, and I discovered that the vendor for this, I'm not sure if it's the same creator or not, the vendor had a number of decks that appealed to my eye, and I ordered one to see, what it was like. And after that, I thought, oh, I've got a birthday coming up, and these are intriguing to me. So I splurged and ordered 3 more, 4 decks in all for my birthday to treat myself. And 2 of them are very similar, and the other 2 are more traditional, I'd say. But anyway, let me get on with it. They seem to all come from this vendor in one of these magnetic boxes. No labels on it or any information, but good for storage. I may want to put some tape or some label on here, because it's hard to tell what deck this is if you have a number of them in the same kind of black box. It's from this company. I'm having a hard time. Oops, got that upside down. I'm having a hard time reading in this light. I'm hoping the images generally pick up better on the camera than they do to my eye here. But anyway, I have this is an ID card, and it's got the QR code on the back for some additional information, and comes with a maybe 6-page little white book that is basically generic keywords. So, I mean, I guess maybe a beginner could use this, but I think they would rely heavily on the book rather than the card images to figure out what the meanings were. It also came with a little sort of black canvas drawstring storage bag, if you prefer that. These are the backs. And the last deck that I chose from this company, I said had a very sort of Spanish feel, or sort of late summer, early autumn color palette that was very warm with lots of yellows, oranges, and reds. This one's similar. This is more of a rainbow palette and a little cooler, like heavier on the blues and the cooler colors, but all the rainbow colors are in here. And I think that this one has a look to it of, it has the feel to me of sci-fi fantasy kind of deck in the realms of like a Marvel Studios film thing, or superheroes kind of quality about it. The cardstock is matte, and it's fairly rigid, but the size is workable for an overhand shuffler like myself. And so we've got the labels at the bottom. I'm hoping that you can see them. And we have numbers in the corner to help out. So here we have the Fool. Feel free to pause at any time if you want to linger over an image. Magician. High Priestess. Empress. I like these dark and bright, rich colors in this deck. And Emperor. Hierophant. Lovers. The Chariot. Strength. The Hermit. I love that the Hermit has a lantern out front and sort of a glowing backpack here. Wheel of Fortune. Justice. Lots of psychedelic, kind of swirly imagery with all the colors of the rainbow swirled in. The Hanged Man. This might have been better repositioned. We have a noose here that seems partially obscured by the label. So I might have shifted that a bit if I were in charge of this deck. Death, which has a very zombified appearance to it. And some of the male and female figures seem like variations on the same model. Here we have Temperance. You'll see as we get more close-ups. Here's the Devil. Very cat-like looking devil, I think. The Tower. When I first saw these letters, I thought there was a misprint because some of them seem broken, but apparently that's part of the font because it's you know, it pretty much travels from card to card that way. Star, moon, the sun, judgment. I like a lot of these clouds and heavenly sky kind of landscape imagery. World. Yeah, we get into the minors. Ace of Wands. Two of Wands. Three of Wands. Four of Wands. In some ways, this reminds me a little of an earlier deck I bought called the Spectro Whirl, which was sort of kind of pippish and sort of psychedelic coloring, and a little more difficult to intuit. Here's the Five of Wands, 6, 7. Very surreal quality, and also, like I said, it sort of reminds me of sort of horror, sci-fi imagery, sort of kind of spacey special effects or internal organs kind of effects. Interesting kind of things. This one is the Eight of Wands. It was either miscut or misprinted. There's a little white line on the edge, and I'm trying to decide if I can live with that or whether I should take a Sharpie to the edge, which shouldn't be too difficult because it is a dark edge. But I don't generally edge my decks, and I'm afraid that if I do, this whole edge of the card will become black, and then I'll be forced to edge the entire deck, and I'm afraid of sort of sloppy edging, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that yet. Nine of Wands, 10, Page, Knight, Queen, and King. I think this model, I think she seems to appear on several cards. Here we've got the Ace of Cups, the 2. Some of these kind of remind me a little bit of Alien, like Geiger's artwork for Alien, the Alien movies. 3 of Cups. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, sort of a comical cat look. 10 of Cups, Page of Cups. I mean, this looks very superhero-y to me. Page, Knight, not so much the Queen, and the King. I think it's a different Queen. This one, maybe because of this business here, excuse me, and the mask-like effect. There's a couple that sort of remind me of like Captain Marvel or something. Or is it Miss Marvel? No, Captain Marvel. I'm confusing Captain Marvel and Shazam. King of Cups. Ace of Swords. Two of Swords. Three of Swords. 4. 5. 6. Oh, this is nice. This is a pretty easy one to read, I think. It's less abstract and typical of a Six of Swords kind of image. 7. 8 of Swords. 9. This is the one that reminds me of Captain Marvel, I think, in the costume and something about her face. 10. Page of Swords. Looks like sort of a cross between Star Wars and a ninja movie or something. Knight of Swords. Queen of Swords. A lot of these look to me like they could be stills from some computer-generated movie scene in you know, one of the superhero movies or sci-fi. I like that there's bright colors in there, though, in with the dark colors. You know, there's a lot of flash here as opposed to it being all dark or all light or all washed out. Ace of Coins. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. Yeah, this could be a little more referential, a little less abstract, but I think I can work with it. I think what happens now is if I look at a card and I don't see intuitively meaning in the imagery, which may develop here over time, I don't know. If I look at the label, my mind is so attuned to the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith imagery that I immediately picture that in my head, so I can, maybe that's a cop-out, that I'm sort of doing a reading with that imagery in mind as opposed to this, and this is more or less a colorful abstraction or distraction from the obvious. 10 of Coins, Page of Coins, Knight, Queen, there she is again, and King. It could be a villain from a sci-fi fantasy. So anyway, like I said, I'll leave this up to you, but there you have it. Do a little A little bit of a shuffle, not much. And we lay some out side by side to get a sense of what a spread would look like. So, if you love the rainbow, and you love abstraction, and you love sci-fi fantasy, and you know your RWS, maybe this is a deck for you, or maybe not. Thanks for sharing the time with me to have a look. See you next time.